Hello everyone and welcome to Season 5, Episode 38 of Pro Wrestling's Top 50. I'm your host Travis McNeil, and today we continue our countdown of the top 50 matches in NXT history with match number 13 on our list, which is the match between Sami Zayn and Shinsuke Nakamura from the NXT TakeOver Dallas event held on April the 1st of 2016. I will never forget the first time that I watched this match. This is going to sound like a weird comparison, but I feel like this match is basically the NXT version of The Rock versus Hulk Hogan from WrestleMania 18. And what I mean by that is that, Sami Zayn and Shinsuke Nakamura, they've had, their high quality, 5-star work rate classic matches. This match, they don't reinvent the wheel. They don't really do anything, extraordinary or too special. They kind of just play the hits. But the crowd reaction to this match elevates it into so much more than the match itself, really is in and of itself. And for that, it creates this all-time classic. And I'll never forget watching this match because, if you know me, you know how obsessive I am when it comes to WrestleMania weekend. Really, since, the indie company started streaming, stuff WrestleMania weekend, I think it was like 2014 that really started to kick off. I watch every show there is WrestleMania weekend from the moment I wake up to the morning I go to this, I go to sleep, and it's very problematic, but it's something that I really look forward to. I make a big spreadsheet of all the events and the matches. I'll make podcast appearances, talking about what I'm excited for. I put it right up there with Christmas as far as, a time that I can just kind of be happy and check out of the stresses of my everyday life. As a parent and watch, wrestling, which is something that I love. So 2016 was kind of one of the years where like the indie stuff was really starting to hit, and they would do, shows all day and these shows later at night. And they would have, competing shows like Ring of Honor would do their stuff and WWN would do their stuff. You'd watch something live and, I'd plan things around the likelihood that the VOD would go up, that same night, to determine what I would watch live and whatnot. And when the WWE Network launched in Canada, we had it as a television channel. So because it was through our cable network, I could record it on my PVR, which was super convenient. So I made the decision that I would record NXT TakeOver Dallas and kind of get to it when I got to it, be it the next morning or what have you. But I finished up all the indie stuff for the night. It was probably about 2 a.m. and, I was planning on going to bed, and, I thought, what's one more match? I'll watch the opener of NXT TakeOver, which was, the great match between the Revival and American Alpha. And, I just said, okay, one more. And there was kind of a slog of an Austin Aries match, I think with like Baron Corbin or somebody. And, I was starting to fade at that point. But then something magical happened, and that was Shinsuke Nakamura's entrance, which we all know his entrance theme, at this point. But it was so cool how they presented this guy as this absolute mega star. And the crowd responded in kind. And, this was an interesting point for Sami Zayn, is this was basically his NXT farewell match. He was competing at WrestleMania in a multi-person ladder match. So he was already, on the main roster. But, he decided to go out with this big-time dream match. And, what a match to emphasize, Shinsuke Nakamura, somebody that is going to have undeniable chemistry with, and, somebody that's going to do whatever it takes, to make this guy look good. And it's funny because, here we are 6 years out, and these two are currently in a feud over the Intercontinental title. And, yes, Nakamura has won the Royal Rumble and competed for the world title at WrestleMania and was NXT champion. But, really, I don't think his WWE career has ever hit the high that it did on this night of his debut. This match, like I said, it's basic. But what you have is two wrestlers that are two of the all-time best when it comes to, a term I use called physical charisma. And I've talked about this, especially with Sami Zayn. And what I mean by physical charisma is, somebody that can exude, charisma and crowd appeal just through their body and or their facial expressions. And both of these guys are so good at that. So, you put them together and you get this automatically like compelling match that you can't turn your head from, you can't take your eyes off of. And then, you add this electric crowd environment and you have, something that is completely, unbelievable. So this match it runs this basic story of Sami Zayn, made it to the top of NXT. He won the NXT title. But, really quickly had that rug pulled out from him, from Kevin Owens, very quickly got injured, and was never able to get his NXT career back on track. And now here he is with another guy coming in, being catapulted to the top and kind of in a way stealing his spotlight a bit. So, you can tell that Sami Zayn goes through this match with those resentments, just in the way, he works and scraps with Nakamura here. And, the match starts, Nakamura immediately does, all of his Nakamura stuff that he does, and, the kind of thing he does in the ropes, with his head down and everything like that. And, Sami Zayn, he's not deterred by it. And he almost he has this a sense of annoyance, right? But he just, through his body and through his face, that's where you get that impression. So, he avoids all of these big, Nakamura strikes at the start. He hits a bunch of arm drags and then kind of taunts, Nakamura back, almost disrespectfully, which, is a little bit out of character for him as a babyface, but you feel it. You feel those emotions that he has. And Nakamura just proceeds to start lighting him up. And, again, goes to his, Nakamura playbook. This is supposed to be his spotlight match, right? His debut in the company. And he goes for, that gas pedal in the corner that he does, where he just kind of stomps on the guy repeatedly. And Sami Zayn is just so defiant and grabs his foot, and stands up and kind of throws him back like it's a, 1996 New Japan Juniors match, with Otani and Kanemoto or something. But, he ends up eating a big back heel kick from Nakamura. So every time, they do these little kind of scrappy, defiant bits, they add these big flash moves to it as well. And it just creates this big, complete package with this match. Nakamura, like I said, he is spotlighted in this match. He rolls with offense. He gets, all of his big knees. He gets one on the ring apron. He gets the knee drop on the ring apron. He gets, the knee where he hits that big running knee while his opponent's kind of lying over, the top rope in the corner, and then he rolls back from it. And, Sami Zayn is on the ropes a little bit after all of these big strikes, but he never stops fighting and he never stops using his brain, and he, baits Nakamura into charge and low bridges him to the floor and, gets his big tope on Hilo. He goes for the brain buster and Nakamura hits so many big knees in this match, and, he knees out of that and he hits all these brutal grounded knees. And this is a style too, Nakamura's coming in and they're presenting him as the King of Strong style, right? And this match feels a little foreign, even though, this is when NXT was really rocking and rolling and starting to feel like that, WWE version of an independent promotion that we talk about so much. This kind of Japanese style match, if you want to call it that way, did feel a little out of sorts, and it did feel unique and special. And again, that just adds to that crowd reaction of not believing what they're seeing and not wanting it to end. Zayn gets his moments here, though. Nakamura runs into a Michinoku driver. They do a big forearm exchange, and Nakamura gets his nose bloodied, and that just, adds to the visual appeal of this match all the more. And, the crowd is just going nuts with all of the yes chants and everything like that. And Nakamura proceeds to just get Zayn in the ropes and just start kicking him in the head, which is brutal. And Sami Zayn, if we ever talk about, a list of the best lariats in pro wrestling, the best clotheslines, I think Sami Zayn is someone that most people probably wouldn't think of and put on that list, with guys like Stan Hansen and, Kojima and guys of that sort. But Sami Zayn throws the best freaking lariats because he's got this wiry body and he just throws everything he has into him. And he consistently hits these great lariats throughout his career, but the one he hits in here against Nakamura is one of the best of all time. He just stops him dead, and it's so good. And, he goes for another one, and Nakamura counters that into a rolling cross arm breaker. So what does Zayn have to do? He starts stomping on Nakamura's head and then starts stomping on his head in the ropes, and it creates this really chippy, almost uncooperative, grudge match that this has turned into with, Zayn not lying down for Nakamura, who's coming in and really trying to bully him in a way, to present himself as this strong, King of Strong style character. But, Nakamura also, he's used to fighting guys that will hit him and fight back in New Japan. So it creates this lovely environment. At one point, Sami just goes to work with punches. And Nakamura responds with a big one of his own, goes for another, but gets caught in a Koji clutch and has to make the ropes. The big kind of monumental moment from this match is the fight forever chant that the crowd chants. And, that chant gets ragged on a little bit, and just like the "this is awesome" chants and everything like that. But you have to think about, a chant like that. And, yes, maybe it's forcibly used in the future, but it's so genuine in the moment that this crowd is loving what they're watching, and they sincerely, don't want it to end. You had this chant in this match. You had the "Please Don't Stop" chant at the Dragon Gate 6-man tag at Supercard of Honor. You had the original "This is awesome" chant in Chris Sabin and Petey Williams and TNA. When these chants happen for the first time, it's because a crowd, is so invested in what they're seeing, and it's a magical thing, and it really doesn't, deserve the crap that it gets from people. Sami Zayn, goes for the haluva kick, misses, gets hit with the reverse exploder, dodges the Bombaye, gets the blue thunder bomb. So they do, go into these near falls in this match. I say that they don't do anything, too crazy or exceptional, but, they do hit their signature offense for some hot near falls. Sami Zayn goes for the thread the needle DDT on the floor and gets blasted with a kick by Nakamura. Nakamura goes up top and Zayn cuts him off. And something that I love that Sami Zayn does, it's great because for a WWE fan that's never seen, an El Generico match, Generico will go up top and he'll tease, a superplex. And, that's a big time move, right? Look at the reaction Randy Orton gets for a superplex. So the crowd, was into it. But for the indie fans, every time he does that, it's that nod back, it's that call back to, the brain buster on the top turnbuckle that Generico would hit. And I love that. And it's funny because, he still uses that in his match now, but with how, liberal WWE's gotten with a lot of their moves, we see Canadian Destroyers now, hell, we have, Bad Bunny doing a Canadian Destroyer. We have reverse Ranas and moves on the apron and all of this stuff. Whenever he teases it now, there is a part of me that expects that he's finally going to hit it. But, we'll see if that day ever comes. But, he goes for the tease for that, and Nakamura has to elbow his way out of that. Nakamura runs in and Zayn catches him, goes for the corner exploder. Nakamura has to elbow his way out of that, hits a diving knee off, the second rope, and then, hits the new variation of the Bombaye, christened the Kinshasa, and it's enough for 3. And again, the finish, doesn't have this amazing, 10-minute near fall kick out, build up to it. It just kind of comes and goes, fitting with that theme of, in other circumstances, if you put this match in front of a COVID crowd, right, in front of no fans or the performance center or whatever, you're getting a pretty run-of-the-mill average match between these two guys. But, the environment, it elevates it so very much. And this is something amazingly special. And the crowd reaction to this match, post-match is great. And we get a hug and we get this wonderful, send-off with a standing ovation for Sami Zayn, as he's got, countless times throughout his NXT career. And it's really special. I'll never forget it. And it's one of those matches too. It's weird to watch back because, if you super analyze it, like I try to do for these reviews in a way, you see, like, and I'm making my notes and I'm like, this match doesn't really sound as incredible as it is. But like I said, it's that reaction that just makes it. If you've never seen it, it's something that you need to see. You can check it out on Peacock. If you're outside the US, it's on the WWE Network. WWE has it for free on their YouTube channel as well. You can subscribe to my channel here on YouTube so that you never miss a video. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Wrestling50. And please join me again tomorrow as we continue to count down Pro Wrestling's Top 50.